Here I'm attempting to do a tier 13 Abattoir Zier with the new pen shot version of this that I have going on that uses Andariels, uses Frostburns, and it is a lot of fun to play. It does massive AoE damage, as you can see here. If you want to see this full run, it was pretty crazy, really intense, really close. Check out the link in the description below. I've tested out many different variations of this build, and I think I found the one that I like the best. Alright, so let's talk about the build and how it works in Abattoir Zier, and I'll tell you guys about some of the tricks and tips for running Abattoir Zier with this build specifically. And one thing is that you might wonder, like, why am I using Andariels? Why not Shaco? And I'll demonstrate just how well this actually works with our setup. So if you've never used Andariels, basically Andariels, it has this proc here. Lucky Hit has a 20% chance to do a Poison Nova, which does some damage. And if I just hit like so, that's the proc that you see there, and it does maybe about 20,000 damage. If I use my Tibalt's Will and freeze the mob and get it to proc there, alright, well now it's doing more, right? About 300,000. If I was to just like sit here and spam, then maybe we get it up to, let's see here, maybe around like 1,000,000 or so. Right about there, so 1,200,000 after some procs. So it does pretty decent AoE damage, but with Tibalt's Will and with Cunning Stratagem, when we use our penetrating shot, we have a 950% chance of the lucky hit. And what this will do is it'll actually proc it on all of the mobs, I believe. So pretty much every mob I hit is going to proc Andariel. So if I go like this and then I use it, notice, boom, I'm already up to 2 million damage just off the one shot there. 2 million poison proc. So now if I just like really kind of go at it here, then I could add in Poison Imbue there. And then we can really start getting our poison damage very high. Okay. Again, let's try that though without the poison damage. If I was to just go like so, no Poison Imbue here, just Andariels. Alright, so we got to about a 5.7 million poison tick there. And that's just with 5 mobs here. Let's try this out in Abattoir Zier. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to group up some mobs, and I'm just going to shoot them with just pen shot. I'm not going to use poison imbuement. Notice I'm not using poison imbuement here, and we're still wrecking the mobs very quickly. And we can see what type of ticks are we getting here. So I saw, I think up to about 6 to 7, yeah, there's some 6 million ticks there going off, poison ticks. So even without using poison imbue, if we group up enough mobs, we get so many procs that it does quite a bit of damage. Alright, let's talk about how we start engagements so that we don't die right out the gate. Okay, so one thing that I like to do is I like to start with simply Poison Imbue, and I like to basically hit the mobs and then shoot them once. Boom, like so. And what this is going to do is it's going to spawn a bunch of poison bursting venoms, and it's also going to freeze the enemies. And this is going to get our armor stacks up immediately, as well as freezing them. And what I do after that is the following. So again, basically Poison Imbue, hit a few times, shoot, then spawns them, then I jump in. And at this point, now I can go just ham on them, because they're all going to be frozen for a bit, and I've procced all my buffs, and then I can just lay into them. And then once you see them lose the freeze, so they'll go unstoppable, that's when you need to start being more cautious. So then you could either back away a little bit, or if you're feeling comfortable, you can keep shooting. But again, basically the idea is hit Poison Imbuement, hit a few times, shoot, jump in, and then go ham on them. Just hit a few times, shoot, 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 etc. You could throw on your poison, your Shadow Imbuement for more damage there, and then back away, jump back in, do it again, and basically keep up this shadow step. If anything ever goes wrong, things like you get CC'd or something, stuff starts going bad, hit your concealment, and then walk away. All right, let's talk about how we ramp up our poison damage. Well, one way is through freezing enemies. So Frostburns is going to freeze everything for us, and then we are going to get a multiplier from Noxious Ice there, which is going to make us do more poison damage to frozen enemies. And then we do take +3 to Frigid Finesse for another 30% damage multiplier to frozen enemies. And then on our Paragon board, we are taking Control, which is going to give us another 20% damage to frozen enemies. We also ramp up this damage using Flowing Veins, which is a vampiric power that gives us 60% increased damage over time to enemies that are affected by a vampiric curse or moving. And moving isn't real reliable, so I do pick up a Cursed Touch, which is going to help us put vampiric curse on everything, and then we get the 60% damage over time consistently. Let's talk about the gear. Okay, so we have Andariels, of course. Then we have Disobedience. This is really important for keeping our armor high so that we don't die from physical damage. And then, of course, we have Frostburns to freeze everything. And another thing is that lucky hit there. This helps keep our resource high. This is why in the video you'll see my resource basically going back to full every time I shoot. Doesn't matter how fast I shoot. And then we have Tibalt's Will. And we have the boots which have Noxious Ice on my crossbow. I am taking Trick Shot. And this may seem a little bit weird, but this makes, instead of putting it on like a ring, which would only give me 25% damage to the AoE targets, this will give me 50%. And this does scale our poison imbue damage with it. So this is effectively doubling our AoE damage from 25% to 50%, which is pretty good, 100% increase. And then we have Umbrus, which has the Dark Shrouds on it. Gives us our Dark Shrouds. If you're wondering, that's how I get Dark Shrouds around me without having it on my bar. And then we are taking Bursting Venoms. The main purpose of this is just to reset our poison imbuement, so I can spam that for more poison imbuement damage. And then I'm taking Rapid here for increased attack speed, which is going to help keep me alive by attacking faster and allowing me to spam my moves more often, which is going to increase my Andariel's damage even further by attacking more frequently. Doombringer, this is really important. It's going to help keep you alive for that extra max life there and damage reduction to the enemies. And then Condemnation is obviously needed in order to work with Tibalt's Will, generating all of our combo points. And one thing you may wonder is, why am I not running X-Files? So I did try using X-Files for quite a bit, and it worked quite well for the lower tiers, but as I got to the higher tiers, I just found that attacking faster with Rapid ended up being better, and X-File damage seemed to kind of fall off, and just didn't really feel worth it. But you could experiment with it, see which one you like better. And then you'll notice at the end of the dungeon, I did make a couple swaps here in order to fight the bosses at the end, and that's because Pen Shot does pretty terrible damage for single target, so I needed to switch into rapid fire mode and get more damage reduction. So I switched to the Shaco, and I also switched to this crossbow here, which gives me Corruption, which is going to increase that poison damage by another 80% for a single target. And I also switched my abilities a little bit here. So what I did is I took out my points from Penetrating Shot and I put all my points into Rapid Fire through Advanced Rapid Fire. And then I switched Mixed Poison Imbuement to Blended Poison Imbuement. And what about the abilities? Abilities, basically we have Puncture through Fundamental Puncture, we have Penetrating Shot through Advanced Penetrating Shot. We don't need the Critical Strike chance because we would much rather just get the enemies crowd controlled, which we have a lot of extra crowd control damage for. And then we are taking Slurdy for more close DR. We are taking Discipline Shadow Step because we need to spam it very often. And then we are taking Concealment. So I don't have any points into it, but that's because my amulet gives me +3 to the subterfuge skills. But if you don't have it, put 1 there and take out 1 point, probably from alchemical advantage here. And then we're taking Dark Shroud. Notice I am pumping Dark Shroud. I have 5 points into it through Subverting Darkshot for more movement speed. And then we, of course, take these two for more damage. And then we take through Mixed Poison Imbuement because we are lucky hitting. And then we are taking Debilitating Toxins and Deadly Venom and Alchemical Advantage, which works really well with Andariel's because everything on the screen is always going to be poisoned. And then Frigid Finesse. And through Haste here, 3 points for more movement speed. And Close Quarters Combat, which we proc using our Shadow Step and our Puncture. What about our Paragon Board? Paragon Board, we are taking Efficacy for more PI, Poison Imbue damage. And then our board here, we're taking Cheap Shot with our new glyph Tears of Blood. And then we work our way through here with Canny and Eldritch Bounty. And this increases all of our elemental damage, which is really nice. And then we are over here, we have Devious through Cunning Stratagem. And then we do take the Laerana's board. This is for the control glyph because there are 49 intellect points that we can pick up for the massive 145.5% damage to crowd-controlled enemies. And it's also nice because we do get some additional resistances here. And if you guys want to see this run in action, see me try to complete the tier 13, check out the video that will be popping up here in just a moment, or check it out in the description below. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys this build works out for you guys. Let me know how it goes, and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.